Does anyone still remember this? So back in early June, Gilbert Verdian, who is literally the founder of Quant, he announced the announcement of the launch of the mainnet when it comes to Fusion Rollup, which was allegedly the world's first multi-ledger rollup connecting a grand total of, at the time, 74 blockchain networks in one unified environment, and it's specifically built for institutions. Does anyone remember that? Well, I do. I even made a video about that, but it feels like a lot of people forgot about it. And I actually believe that through this, Quant is competing with some of the other bigger players out there as a result of Fusion Rollup. And I'll talk about how I think this could impact Quant moving forward. It may not impact too much as of right now, but I'm going to talk about the long-term hypothetical effects in today's video and discuss the price a little bit later, even though not much has gone on there. But I first want to clarify, I am not telling anyone to do anything. Nothing I say is financial advice, and it's just my personal perspective and review. Now we got to think about this. What are some very massive projects out there that are focused on interoperability? We take a look at Polkadot, which is still arguably the most popular within that niche, and we take a look at Cosmos and its native token called Atom. But here's the thing, that space as of right now hasn't been doing the best. Like DOT, which is Polkadot's native token, yes, I mean, it's ranked pretty massive. Like for instance, as of right now, it's ranked 45th in the world in terms of market cap, so it's a bigger project than Quant. But DOT, its native token, which is again Polkadot's native token, that recently reached a new all-time low. And Cosmos and its native token called Atom, that hasn't been doing the best either. But guess what? They are still the very prominent players in this space of interoperability. And the fact that Polkadot is still ranked top 50 within this space in terms of market cap showcases that interoperability, that focus, is still a very important niche, given despite the bad market conditions. However, I think it's actually a pretty impressive move that Quant, at a time like this, especially as of a couple months ago, launching something like the mainnet of Fusion Rollup, I thought it was such a smart move, on their part at least fundamentally, just because, could you imagine, they launched that at a time when a lot of projects are wanting to leave the space of interoperability, not enter. A lot of them are leaving, right? A lot of them are exiting. A lot of people don't care about it, but Quant is viewing it as this time in which they want to enter. So let's just let that sink in. They know that, hey, you know what, this niche, if the market were to take off, we've already seen the stories of a Polkadot and a Cosmos, right? We've already known that. I mean, they were massive at one point. They're not doing too well as of right now because of the market conditions, but that niche has showcased that historically, it did work, and it is still quite important as of right now. So I think Quant understood that gap in the market, right? Which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, because if anything, it showcases innovation, and it also showcases awareness. Because if they were not aware of stuff like that, they wouldn't have cared about this. So this is, the stuff that Quant is doing. Keep in mind, they're preparing for a time in the future. It's not going to affect much as of right now, but again, it's like laying down the building blocks and the foundation for what could maybe be in the future. It's like, for instance, let's say I have a backpack, which I do, it's back here, right? Am I going to use it every single day? The answer is no. But at the moments, or should I say at times in which I actually have to use it, it comes in handy. So it may not matter right now, but it could matter moving forward. It's like having an umbrella, let's say. Okay, sure, maybe it doesn't rain for quite a while, but what happens if it does, right? Then that umbrella could come in handy. That's the way to take a look at it. So it's kind of no different here, in my opinion, with what I'm seeing go on when it comes to Quant. They're just preparing, because we already know that when it comes to Quant, it's been around for quite a while. Keep in mind, Gilbert Verdian started Quant in 2015. A project downturn like this, like a time when the market isn't doing the best, this is kind of any other Tuesday. It's like kind of riding a bicycle for Gilbert Verdian. He's done this, or should I say he's been through this like many times before. This is nothing new. If anything, this is like Quant just, doing its thing. I mean, sure, the market isn't doing the best, but you know what? They're planning to go to Sibos in Miami, which is a very massive conference, which is organized by Swift, by the way. I just want to make that clear. It's going to go down in Miami soon. So yeah, I think that's pretty impressive, actually. So Quant's doing its thing. I mean, sure, it may not be doing the best. And yes, it's below $60. Not that good. Of course, if we take a look at it, if we kind of zoom out, $58, right? We saw that back in 2021. So yeah, these are basically levels which we once saw over 5 years ago. It depends how you take a look at it, though, because it could be viewed as a bad thing, or a somewhat positive thing, which may sound odd, I get it. But let's just imagine when it comes to if Quant could just go back to, let's say, right? I'm not saying it has to reach 2021 levels or whatever. I'm not saying that. Let's just say going back to 2022 levels. Like 2022, that was not a good time when it comes to altcoins, right? I'm just saying, because in 2022, guess what? We saw the Terra Luna crash and all this. So again, we're not talking about such a good time. Did you know that back in October of 2022, Quant was around $164? So we're over 2 times away. Like, we're literally almost 3 times away, actually, from that. 2022, like, I'm not talking about 2021. Like, 2022 was not a good time when it comes to altcoins. And yet, Quant is that low compared to that. So we gotta let that sink in. That is how low it is currently. If it goes back there, I don't really need an altcoin season anymore. 2022, we didn't see an altcoin season. That was a bear market, by the way. Quant is basically almost 3 times away from October of 2022. Like, what the? That's how low it is. Now, again, if it could go back there, which it has showcased before that it could reach that, it doesn't mean it will again, but it's already showcased that it was able to do that before. Given even unfavorable market conditions, it was able to reach that. But yet, because we're so low compared to that, if Quant goes back there, which is almost a 3 times journey, I'm already going to Sizzler, the restaurant. So that's the way I take a look at it. I mean, I don't even need an altcoin season anymore at this point. That's just my point of view, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. However, need I remind people, right? Quant has an aspect of ISO 20022. I'm not joking. So when people like to say that, oh, Quant, it can't compete with some of the other projects out there because they seem to think that global trade finance is this very impressive narrative. But if we assume that, right? Something like Stellar and Ripple, they have an aspect of ISO 20022. So does Quant, by the way. So if people are saying, oh, it's so lame, Quant having an aspect of that, who cares? Well, if it's lame, why is it so praised with Stellar and Ripple, but then not when it comes to Quant? How does that make sense? I still think it's pretty impressive because if the main criteria is just having an aspect of ISO 20022 and how that's considered impressive, that's the only thing, right? If we just assume that, then why would it be impressive for Stellar and Ripple, but then not for Quant? Yeah, I don't get it. Now, what is ISO 20022? To put it quite simply, it's currently being used by many institutions out there around the world that are focused on, the global trade and finance space for something called inter-organizational data exchange. So again, Quant, it showcased that it's making efforts in terms of being focused on interoperability. We already know that it could hypothetically be focused on the global trade and finance market. We already know that the Overledger OS, which makes up part of the Quant network, we already know that multi-chain applications can be built through that. So applications that are built on top of multiple blockchains instead of just only one. We already know all that. So Quant, they already have, the aspect of building apps covered. They already have an aspect of interoperability covered. They already have an aspect of, the global trade and finance space covered as well. So, I mean, it's a pretty complete and diverse project. The only thing that's lacking is just a change in market sentiment. But it doesn't even have to be too massive, because if this space goes back to the sentiment level of 2022, which is not a tough task, by the way, but if it just goes back there in terms of altcoins and how people feel about Quant going back to October 2022, the journey is around 3 times. That's just from what I realized. So again, the main point of this video anyways is to talk about I guess Fusion Rollup launching not too long ago in terms of the mainnet because a lot of people seemingly have forgotten about it, but I haven't. So yeah, I just thought it was pretty cool and pretty interesting that happened back in June, yet so many people forgot about it. But nonetheless, I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward. I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very wonderful and fantastic day. It's Molly the Captain.